Designer, and I'm going to share about the introduction of Marxism.
The concept of Marxism, which comes from Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, serve as a critical framework for understanding and analyzing the political, economic, and social structure that govern societies. In international relations, Marxism theory is utilized to comprehend and critically evaluate the function of this system on a global scale, with a particular focus on the dynamics of power and inequality. The focus of Marxism is analyzing how economic exploitation, class conflict, and capitalism have influenced and still influence international relations between countries, societies, and individuals. It aims to provide an explanation on how global economic factors, especially the working of capitalism, drive international conflicts, increase inequality, bring back power relations, and draw attention to the global system underlying exploitative nature.
Hello, my name is Putri Noramrina Hanifenti Amir Hamzah, and today I will explain the main points of Marxism theory.
There are three main points of Marxism theory. The first one is economic determinism. In Karl Marx's view, the economic structure of a society determines its social, political, and cultural structure. The economic base, which includes the mode of production and the relation of production, shapes the superstructure consisting of political institutions, laws, and ideologies. In international relations, countries often act based on their economic interests. For example, wealthier countries tend to maintain systems that benefit them, while poor countries are frequently exploited within the global capitalist system. This results in unequal development and conflicts between nations. Now, let's move to the second point, which is class struggle. Marx emphasized that class struggle is a central concept in his theory. This refers to the conflict between two main classes in capitalist society, the capitalist class, or bourgeoisie, and the working class, or proletariat. The bourgeoisie are those who earn and control economic resources like land, factories, and capital, and they profit by exploiting the labor of the proletariat. On the other hand, the proletariat, who do not own the means of production, rely on wages to survive. This imbalance of power leads to social tensions, often expressed through labor movements, resistance to colonialism, and opposition to neoliberal policies that favor the capitalist class. Ultimately, class struggle drives social and political change, especially in the face of global economic injustice. The last main point is global capitalism. This refers to the spread and dominance of the capitalist system worldwide, where the primary focus is on free markets and profit. Under this system, wealthy nations and multinational corporations control global resources, while poor countries are often exploited. Global capitalism also contains internal contradictions, such as the crisis of overproduction, where more goods are produced than what the market can absorb because much of the proletariat live in poverty. This exploitation undermines the foundation of capitalism itself. Marx predicted that global capitalism would eventually collapse when the proletariat became aware of their operations and overthrew the system through revolutions. In international relations, global capitalism is linked to economic imperialism, but it also sparks resistant movements from oppressed countries and social groups advocating for change.
Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Yusla Zakira Betty Rashufi. Let's start the discussion of Marxism analysis with class struggle and economic determinism.
Class struggle, according to Karl Marx, is the central force driving historical change. This ongoing conflict arises from the opposing interests of the ruling class, which control the means of production, and the subordinate class, which provide labor. Karl Marx agreed that this conflict is the driving force of historical change, as seen in the transition from feudalism to capitalism and potentially socialism. Therefore, the ruling class seeks to preserve its dominance through political system, laws, and ideologies, while the oppressed class experience exploitation, gradually develop class consequences and seeks to challenge the existing order. Marx agreed that these struggles lead to systematic rise and evolutionary transformation, marking the transition from one mode of production to another. Thus, class struggle is not just a source of conflict, but the engine of progress, shaping history through the resolution of economic and social contradictions. Economic determination is the core concept in Marxist theory, emphasizing the change in the economic base, the force and relations of production inevitably lead to deformations in the superstructure, which encompass politics, culture, ideology, and laws. The ruling class, which owns and controls the means of production, uses its economic dominance to shape and sustain the superstructure in ways that maintains its power and privilege. For example, political systems and legal frameworks are designed to protect private property and ensure continued control over labor and resources. Similarly, ideological constructs like meritocracy or consumerism are propagated to legitimize existing inequalities and discourage collective dissent. However, as contradictions within the economic base intensify, such as the exploitation of labor or technological advancement outpacing the social framework. The superstructure becomes unstable. This instability can result in societal crisis, ultimately driving evolutionary transformations that realign the superstructure with the involved economic conditions.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurhani Khalida Atia binti Safini Zarazami. Let's take a look at global capitalism under Marxist analysis.
As mentioned earlier, global capitalism connects the world economies through big companies, trade deals, and financial institutions. This system focuses on profit, leading to exploitation and inequalities, especially for workers in poorer countries. One of the major forces in global capitalism is multinational corporations. These companies set up factories in poorer countries to take advantage of low wages and less regulation. Moreover, international trade agreements between countries also play a role. Often, these agreements benefit richer countries and multinational companies, while weaker economies are left dependent on selling raw materials or cheap labor without developing their own industries. Another key player is global financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank. While these organizations provide loans to developing countries, they often force these countries to cut public spending, like healthcare and education, to pay off debt. This means that the poor continue to suffer, while wealthy countries and corporations keep benefiting.
For now, let's continue with the course of Marxism. Based on equality, first, Marxism focuses on reducing income inequality. It achieves this by distributing wealth to ensure resources are shared fairly among all members of society. By preventing the construction of wealth in the hands of a few, Marxism helps alleviate extreme poverty and creates a more balanced economic system. Second, Marxism seeks to eliminate class division. In the capitalist system, society is often divided into two classes: the bourgeois who own the means of production and the proletariat who work for them. Marxism abolished this divide, creating a society where everyone is equal in status and role, fostering unity and social harmony. Third, Marxism promotes share ownership of industry and resources. Instead of being privately owned for individual profit, these are owned collectively by society. This ensures that profits are reinvested to meet the needs of all, rather than being concentrated among a wealthy elite. Based on critique capitalism, by removing the unpredictable nature of capitalist markets, Marxism aims to build an economic centered on stability and the well-being of all members of society. In capitalist system, the market's reliance on supply, demand, and profit often leads to cycles of rapid growth and sudden crash, leaving workers and families vulnerable. Marxism counters this instability with a planned economy, where production and distribution are based on the needs of the community, not the pursuit of profit. This ensures secure resources. Essential goods and services like food, housing, and healthcare are prioritized and made constantly available, regardless of economic conditions.
For now, let's discuss the cause of Marxism, focusing on its limitation and challenges in practical application.
One of the significant criticism of Marxism is its lack of market competition, which often leads to the economic inefficiency. For instance, it struggles to accurately predict or meet the needs of the population, leading to overproduction in some areas and constant shortage in others. A case in point is Cuba, where state-controlled businesses have long struggled with low economic growth and regular shortage of essential goods, including medicine and food. These inefficiencies highlight the practical challenges of applying a system without competitive markets. Another big problem with Marxism lies in its unrealistic vision, which proved difficult to implement. First and foremost, the ideology assumes that people will act together for the greater good. However, human nature often prioritizes self-interest, creating a gap between Marxist ideals and real-world situations. For example, the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia tried to create a classless agricultural society. Yet, their radical policies, including forced labor, led to mass starvation, protests, and great suffering, further showing the challenges of achieving Marxist goals. Finally, instead of achieving the desired classless society, Marxist system often result in the creation of new elite. This goes against the original idea of equality. In reality, power is held by a small group of political leaders and bureaucrats. These people become a privileged class with wealth and influence, while most people stay poor. For example, in Venezuela, under Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, socialist policies have centralized power within the ruling class. While the elites thrive, the majority of the population continues to face widespread poverty and corruption, mirroring the inequalities that Marxism sought to resolve.
Assalamualaikum and good morning to Dr. and fellow classmates. My name is Izzatul Farhani Sawanti Faizul. My student ID is 2024568745. So now let's proceed to the impacts of Marxism. There are three key impacts of Marxism. The first impact is class struggle. a fundamental concept in Marxism referring to the continuous conflict between different social classes, particularly the ruling class known as the bourgeoisie and the working class known as the proletariat. This struggle arises from the inherent inequality of the capitalist system, where the ruling class accumulates wealth and power through the exploitation of the working class's labor. An example of an element contributing to class conflict leading to discontent and alienation is the exploitation of labor, which refers to workers who, possessing only their labor power, produce goods and services for capitalists in exchange for wages. The second impact is political power dynamics, which refers to capitalists controlling and leveraging political power in society to uphold the status quo through law enforcement, media control, and the misuse of state institutions to dominate the economy, maximize profits, and maintain their dominance. An example of the impact of political power dynamics in the upper class is the control of the economic and social system, such as tax breaks for big businesses and the enforcement of laws that limit workers' rights. The third impact is isolation affects social engagement. Isolation refers to the distance or separation between people and important aspects of their lives, such as work, the products of labor, social relationships, and personal potential. For example, in terms of social relations, capitalist society promotes individualism, where people are forced to compete for jobs, promotions, and better incomes in the pursuit of personal success. The alienation of workers under capitalism hinders community productivity, with the reduction in work quality being influenced by a lack of opportunities for self-development.
Let's move on to the final part of presentation. In conclusion, we can see that Marxism in international relations offers a critical framework for comprehending the global capitalist system, emphasizing how class relation, imperialism, and economic exploitation influence world politics. By revealing the underlying power mechanism that sustain inequality on the global scale, it challenges the current quo. Marxism is still a popular theory in international relations, especially when it comes to the global capitalism, imperialism, and reliance, despite facing the criticism. Ultimately, it pushed decision-makers to take into account the ingrained class-based and economic factors that influence international relations.